I was this close to selling my XRP. Seriously, right? Finger on the trigger, ready to take profits and run. Then a crypto insider let slip a secret that made me slam on the brakes. Something big here is brewing with XRP, and if you blink, you might just miss it. Now, I have been around in crypto since 2010. Back when Bitcoin was so fresh that you had to earn, or at least you could earn, I should say, 50 BTC for just playing a flash game. Now, I've made more mistakes than I would like to admit, lost more Bitcoin than I care to even remember. But I learned a whole ton along the way. Now, these days, I cover XRP pretty much every single day on this channel. And let me tell you something. I thought that I had seen it all. But this latest XRP story actually hit a little differently. It felt personal. So today I want to share a true story about how I almost gave up on XRP and the revelation that changed my mind. Now, this is not your typical news update. It's a journey, one that might change how you might see XRP, whether you're an OG holder or a brand new comer to the XRP army. And by the way, right, we've got some free educational Discord server. The link is in the description, and we do talk crypto 24/7, so you can come in and say hi. So here is the deal. I am going to take you through my 15-year crypto adventure in a way that ties into what's really happening right now with XRP. Now, there's a reason that I did not sell, and it has everything to do with a rather bold claim from a crypto founder that it's a shame that most people are probably ignoring. So by the end of this video, you're going to see why holding XRP might be about something much bigger than just making a quick buck. But let me rewind just a little bit. Imagine the year 2010. Right, I'm hunched over my computer, mining Bitcoin on my kind of gaming rig for pennies, right? Thinking that I'm the next Steve Jobs of crypto. I wish I could tell you that I held on to all of those coins. No, I actually lost most of them through just poor crypto management. I sold a few off for gaming cards, Xbox gift cards and the like, right? And what seemed maybe trivial back then are what would be worth a fortune today, right? I even lost access to many wallets over the years, but because I was, truly and honestly just careless, not really knowing what I was doing. The lessons learned are that short-term thinking can cost you big time in the bigger kind of picture, right? You can fast forward to 2015. I discovered XRP and it was just another curious altcoin at first, trading for fractions of a penny. Right? I traded it on and off. I made a little, I lost a little. But I always kind of kept an eye on it because something about the tech, this idea of, instant global transfers, it stuck with me as kind of a world-changing thing. Still, I was thinking like a trader, but not as a believer. Now, skip ahead to just last week. Right? I was scrolling through X, and we're going to call it Twitter, let's be honest, we all do. And I see a post from 𝗗𝗀𝗀𝗃, and he's the co-founder of Black Swan Capitalist and a big XRP advocate. Now, this guy boldly says that owning XRP shouldn't be about short-term profits at all. Instead, he says you should be thinking bigger. It's about positioning yourself for a new financial or global financial order. In other words, you don't sell XRP to make money, you hold it to be a part of the future. And I had to read that twice. I mean, we've all heard grand claims in crypto, right? Many times before. Now this coin will change the world, usual kind of hype. But 𝗗𝗀 actually backed it up with some intriguing points that actually sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole. Now, he's basically saying that XRP will be the foundation of a new era in finance. He believes that Ripple's technology and XRP as a bridge currency could end up underpinning a new system for moving money around the globe. Tokenized money flows, cross-border payments, you kind of name it. So think of XRP as the plumbing beneath a future financial house. Now, here is where it gets interesting, and a little bit conspiratorial. I won't lie, of course, tinfoil hat at the ready. 𝗗𝗀 claims that a supply shock is inevitable. Why? Because according to him, major institutions are quietly accumulating XRP, while every other, or at least everyday kind of folks like us are barely kind of really paying attention, or either just busy trading other coins, or even worse, that I'm seeing a lot of right now, which is panic selling on bad news, or what people believe is the start of a bear market. Now, he even name-dropped firms like BlackRock, JP Morgan, SBI Holdings, the kind of big players that don't mess around. Now, he suggests that these guys are positioning themselves for this new digital finance era, but they're doing it on the down low. Meanwhile, of course, the retail investors, that's kind of us, right? We are just distracted by the short-term volatility and, of course, all those meme coin dramas. Kind of stings, right? Well, we're arguing here on Twitter about daily price movements, while supposedly Wall Street is loading up their bags with XRP behind the closed doors. It gets spookier. 𝗗𝗀 pointed out that big banks, they often talk about Bitcoin or Ethereum in their public statements, but they never explicitly kind of mention XRP. Like, let's take JP Morgan, they could release a 10-page report on blockchain, and they barely utter XRP. Now, 𝗗𝗀 thinks that omission actually speaks volumes. Why the silence, right? Could it be that they don't want to draw attention while they are quietly buying in? Right? Now, his theory is this, that by the time that you see mainstream headlines blaring that banks are adopting XRP, it's already game over. The train has left the station. His words, right? By the time that mainstream headlines confirm institutional involvement, it will be too late. It's kind of chilling, right? Now, I know it sounds a little bit tinfoil hat. Now, I'm a natural skeptic, so I started digging for more evidence. Something maybe tangible to either back up this or even debunk it altogether. And oh boy, did I find some breadcrumbs that made my jaw drop. First off, let's talk about Ripple, right? The company that's behind XRP. So if XRP were just another random altcoin with no real future, would Ripple be making power moves on the global stage? Because they are, right? Case in point, Ripple recently spent $1 billion to acquire a company called GTreasury. Now, GTreasury isn't some flashy crypto startup. It's a platform that deals with corporate treasury management, basically helping huge companies manage their own money. Why does that matter? Well, that purchase actually opened the door for Ripple and XRP to tap into a $120 trillion corporate treasury market. And yes, that was trillion with a T. Now, suddenly, XRP isn't just some niche crypto for bank transfers anymore. It's actually being embedded into the infrastructure that could serve global corporations and institutions. Now, you don't throw $1 billion at something unless, of course, you see a potential payoff, right? And that's not all. Ripple has actually been on an acquisition spree. They scooped up firms like Hidden Road and Standard Custody, building an absolute beast of an institutional network. It's kind of like they're assembling the Avengers of Finance, quietly recruiting allies and tech to make XRP an integral part of the system. Now, all of these developments, they line up with 𝗗𝗀's belief that XRP is becoming a foundational layer for the next-gen finance. So when I connected those dots, I kind of got a few chills. It's one thing to say, XRP will be huge. It's another to see a company actually laying down hundreds of millions of dollars on that bet. Now, let's talk about the price, because I know that's what you're thinking, right? If XRP is so great, why is it only still around a couple of bucks or so? Well, 𝗗𝗀 actually has an answer for that one too, and it kind of blew my mind just a bit because it makes a lot of sense. Now, he argues that XRP's current price, it does not reflect its kind of intended utility. Right? In one commentary, he said a $3 XRP couldn't support a system moving trillions of dollars in value. Basically, if XRP is going to be the oil in the engine of global finance, well, there needs to be enough liquidity. And a low price per coin means if, let's say, $1 trillion tries to flow on through XRP, well, the thing would break. The price would go wild due to the demand. So in 𝗗𝗀𝗀's view, if as the kind of usage goes up, the price must go up too, by necessity to handle the load. So we're kind of talking a potential significant price increases if, and it is a big if, XRP starts being used to move trillions of dollars daily. Now, hearing that, I kind of flashed back to 2013 when people said that Bitcoin at $100 was overpriced, right? How can digital nothing be worth $100, right? Well, as Bitcoin's usage and demand grew, we saw what happened. If XRP truly does become the backbone for, let's say, international settlements or tokenized assets, a single-digit price simply wouldn't make sense for the volumes moving, the volumes moving through it. Now, I'm not going to throw out moon boy numbers here. I'm not saying that XRP will hit $589 or any of those old memes, right? The point is that utility can drive value. And if the utility is massive, well, the price has a lot of catching up to do. Now, all of these revelations were swirling around in my head, and I found myself literally pacing the living room, right? I was thinking, am I really about to sell my XRP when this might be on the horizon? And I remembered all of those times that I sold just too early or got shaken out by the FUD, the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. And I remembered the old Mt. Gox days. Yes, I've been around long enough to have lived through that nightmare too. So one day an exchange is fine. The next, boom, it is gone and your funds are gone with it. Now that taught me some pretty valuable lessons. Another one, is to basically always have a backup plan. Here is a quick pro tip, by the way. If you are serious about crypto, you should never rely on one exchange or just have one single plan. You need to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. In fact, I have this new habit now. I sign up for every exchange that I can trust. I get the KYC done if needed, and I keep them in my back pocket because you never know when you need an exchange or when an exchange that you do trust might just halt the withdrawals or face a bit of an outage, especially in a frenzy if XRP moons overnight, right? So I've got accounts all over the place. I personally use, and yes, of course, I do keep affiliate links for all of these exchanges on my website, right? The link is in a description for anyone who wants to try them out. Now, those, as I said, are affiliate links, right? By using them, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does support the channel here. So if you do go over to the website and sign up using those links, I thank you very much in advance. Now, the key is actually this, right? If exchange A goes down, I can jump over to exchange B or exchange C, right? When the bull market hits, trust me here, right? You're going to be glad that you had alternatives, right? I've seen websites literally crash when XRP had a sudden spike. It is very much real. Anyway, I am here with all of these kind of thoughts then, right? My past mistakes, many of them, 𝗗𝗀𝗀's prophecy of a new financial era, Ripple's big moves, and my contingency plans on standby. Now, it all kind of, I guess, collided together into this one crystal clear realization that I am not selling my XRP, not now, not for a while. Instead, I'm trying to time this market. I should say I'm tired of trying to time this market and trying to get a quick trade in. I'm going to be going with, what I see in the data, not just my gut, right? And, I kind of take on the chin what 𝗗𝗀𝗀 is saying, position for the longer term. Because if there's even a chance that XRP will be at the heart of a financial revolution, then I guess I want to be on that ride. Now, does that mean that I'm just going to be sitting on my hands while I hold on tight to my XRP? Well, I'm also actually looking at ways to increase my crypto stack without actually risking what I already have. Now, this is kind of where a little side adventure of mine comes into play, something called Unity. Now, some of the regular viewers already know what I'm experimenting with here and what it is all about. right? For the uninitiated though, Unity is basically a project that lets you turn your old smartphone into a decentralized, a part of a decentralized telecoms network, and you get to earn some cryptocurrency for it. In simple terms, it's your phone that becomes like a mini telecoms auditor. It checks network activity in the background and it pays you for that service. It's pretty wild, right? Anyway, to get involved on a serious level, I bought a Unity Masternode NFT. Now that one NFT, it came with 200 licenses. Think of each license as a ticket for one phone or one device to join the network. Now, don't get it twisted here. I'm not about to line up 200 phones on my desk here day one and go full mad scientist. No, I'm starting off small, right? When the Unity app goes live, I'm going to hook up these 10 phones here on the desk to run a test. I want to see what the real world performance is and if it is worth all the effort. Now, the cool part is this, right? I can choose what to get paid in. Personally, I'm going to be choosing to stack up Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and XRP from whatever the rewards is that I earn. Now, it's kind of like passive, at least earning passive income in crypto whilst I sleep, right? If it works as advertised, that is. Basically, this is another way to stack even more crypto over time without actually spending more out of my pocket. Now, I do want to be super clear here. Unity is not the focus of this video, right? Just a neat side project that I'm sharing because it's part of my journey. Now, I'm not hyping it as the next big thing. This is an experiment. You should do your own research if it sounds interesting to you guys. I'm going to put a link in the description to the Unity lightpaper and the rewards calculator so that you can check it out for yourself. And because not everyone wants to drop a few grand on a Masternode NFT, I do have a plan for you too. I went ahead and I bought a couple extra Unity nodes with the idea of leasing out some of my licenses. Now, this means that if someone out there is curious about Unity but doesn't want to buy a full node for themselves, they can basically rent a license from me, run the app on their phone, and earn crypto without the big upfront costs. Now, I'll have more information on that via our website, which I'll also link in the description and in the free educational Discord server. So if you are interested, hop into the Discord. We have all of the details pinned in there, right? The community experiments like this are kind of why I love the Discord. We kind of learn together in real time. All right, let's get back to XRP. Now, I know we kind of detoured a little bit here, but I think it is relevant, right? It's all about thinking about the long term and creativity in this space. See, doing things like the Unity stuff is part of my strategy to play the longer game, right? I'm accumulating and diversifying where I can because I believe in the end game. And XRP, in my opinion, is a part of that end game strategy. Now, there's actually a saying among the XRP holders, holding for history, not hype. It means that we're not here for a quick flip. We're here because we think that we're witnessing the early days of something that in a few decades people will read about in the textbooks. Now, that might sound a bit grandiose, right? But honestly, after 15 years in crypto, I have seen stranger things become reality. Right? I remember when the idea of corporations putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets was just laughable. Now it's actually happening, right? Who's to say that in a few years from now, banks settling transactions through XRP won't be the norm? And even if it doesn't play out exactly as 𝗗𝗀𝗰𝗱 predicts, well, one thing that I'm certain of is that patience pays in this game. Almost every single time that I acted out of fear or impatience, or emotionally, I should say, I regretted it. Right? Every time I held on, I did my homework, and I thought about the bigger picture, I actually came out ahead, or at least learned something invaluable. So when 𝗗𝗀𝗰𝗱 basically says, you don't sell XRP, right, to make money, you actually hold it to be a part of this new financial system, that actually resonates with me. It put, at least to put it into words, what I already was feeling in my gut. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, right, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, so looking back at my crypto journey from 2010 to 2025, it's been one heck of a ride. And I would have trophies like catching good trades or discovering a gem nice and early, and I've had plenty of disasters, like sending coins to the wrong address way too many times, or even selling the bottom of a dip. But every kind of bump and bruise has taught me something along the way, and I am here today telling you that for me, XRP isn't just another trade. It actually feels like an accumulation of lessons that I've learned along the way. It's about the foresight over the fear. It's about being part of something potentially revolutionary, rather than just a spectator. Maybe tens years from now, we're going to be making a video about how XRP became the backbone of global finance, or how maybe I'll be making one about how I was wrong and I learned a lesson from it, right? Either way, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to be here for it. And I want you to think about what you are here for, right? Are you here to chase the next pump and dump? Are you here to find projects that could genuinely change the world and maybe make you wealthy in the process, right? There's no right or wrong answer to it, but it is a question worth asking. For me, the answer is quite clear. I'm in this for the long haul and the bigger picture. Now, that's why I am holding onto my XRP like a ticket to the future. This is not a lottery scratch-off. The moment, at least the key moment for me, I guess, was realizing that sometimes doing nothing is actually the hardest thing, right? Not selling, not trading, just holding and believing, right? It goes against every trader instinct that I've developed over the years. But ironically, doing nothing might turn out to be the most powerful move that I make. Because if 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗰𝗍 is even half right about a new financial era on the horizon, then I don't want to be the guy who had a golden ticket and tossed it away for chump change again, right? I would rather be the guy who held on, right? Stayed curious, stayed involved through projects like Unity and our community, and witness history in the making. At the end of the day, I can't tell you what will happen with XRP. No one can really. But I can tell you why I'm not selling. Right? I see too many signs pointing to a future where XRP plays a role. Maybe a big one. From banks silently preparing, to Ripple building like crazy, to visionaries shouting from the rooftops that this is the one to watch. It all adds up for me. And if I'm wrong, well, I've hedged my bets, I've diversified, and I've invested in my education. And hopefully yours too, right? Through this channel, that is. Now, I'll be okay, but if I'm right, and so if I'm right, it's a big if, right? Then being on the right side of this new financial system is going to be one hell of a ride. So if this story has got your wheels turning, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and join me on this crazy crypto adventure. I've got plenty more personal adventures and breaking XRP updates to share with you in the future. And I'd love for you to be a part of it. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.